Hey guys, I'm back with my 1 month 1 palette update for the month of October and talking about what I'm going to be using in November. So, if you do not know, or if you do, I use the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Palette for the month of October, which was actually one of the items I did pick up for my October low buy picks. And this palette came out, I believe, sometime this year. It's an all matte palette, and it looks like this. It focuses on having 3 different quads: a warm quad, a cool quad, and a neutral quad. So everybody kind of has, it has a look for everyone. And it says they're all matte, but there are 2 that I think are kind of satiny. I wouldn't say are straight up matte. Well, I haven't ever been like a super big matte eyeshadow person until this year. And now all of a sudden I want all the matte eyeshadows. Because at first when this came out, I really had no desire to try it whatsoever. So I did end up picking it up, and I have to say, I have a lot of thoughts on it. So let me just go ahead and insert the clips of the looks I wore, and then we'll talk about it. Okay guys, for the first look this month, I decided to do a little bit of the cool quad and the neutral quad. I went in with this shade all over my lids. It kind of gives a little bit of a grungy look. I added this in my crease to blend it out, which is the neutral crease color. And I used this on my lower lash line with a bit of this on top of it. And then this on the brow bone and to highlight. So that's all. Okay, this is probably my favorite eye look out of the whole palette. And what I do is I take this warm shade and I put it all over my lid and kind of pull it up into the crease a little bit higher than I usually do. I usually stop at the crease, and this time I kind of pull it maybe into it. And then I take this highlight shade from the warm palette and just tap a tiny bit on the center of the lid to kind of give it just a little bit of dimension and a little bit of brightness, because I feel like it's has a bit of a sheen. And then I take the really red color from the warm side and I put it all through my crease, which is not really a thing that I usually do. I usually don't do darker colors through the crease quite that much, but I like how it turns out. And then I take the highlight shade from the neutral palette, which is not quite as white as this one, but still pretty light. And I use that on my brow bone because I do like a lighter color with my skin being pretty fair. And then today, just for a little bit of extra dimension, I took the crease color or blending out color from the neutral palette and just ran it under my lower lash line. I wanted a little bit of definition, but I didn't want it too warm. So, and I really like how it turned out. Okay, so as you can tell from just knowing me at all, the warm shades are definitely going to be my favorite of the shades in the palette, because that's just what I really lean toward. And this was also the quad that really like lured me in. This color right here is just so pretty. So the top shades are meant to be the lid colors. These shades are meant to be the crease colors. These are meant to be the defining colors, and then these are meant to be the brow bone colors. I never really stuck to one quad totally. I mean, I did occasionally, like this one I did. I think I might have done the same on this one, but I usually mixed it around. I thought this is a really pretty, while it is a really pretty lid shade, it's also a really wonderful crease shade. So any of the looks, like some days I pulled for some of the cooler shades. One day I wore that and I ended up using this in my crease to warm it up. So I would pull this as a crease color if I was using some of the cooler shades or the more neutral shades. And I did like this as a crease shade. It's a bit of a darker typical crease shade for me. So when I wore that on the lid, I did use it, but I tried to focus it on just the outside part. I didn't go all the way whoosh whoosh. I think I might have done that once. I'm not a crazy big super dark eyeshadow person, so these shades I used very moderately. They weren't something I used a whole lot of. This one I liked actually better from the neutral quad than the warm quad as far as the dark browns go. I felt like it was a little, not that it was warmer, but in a way it was, and it was a little easier to work with. This was my preferred brow bone shade because it isn't stark white, but it's really pale. I've decided that I like shades that are really pale as opposed to the more yellowy tones on my brow bone. I guess because I have such fair skin, I feel like it makes more of a difference. The white shade I didn't use, which I don't have a big problem with. I'll use it on a brow bone. I'm not opposed to it, but if I had that, I would just choose that over it. This to me is a little dark for a brow bone shade, so I did use it as that, but it was really nice as kind of a blending out shade as a bit of a transition, or even using it on the beginning of your lid if you wanted to brighten it up a little. I did not ever touch the black. Black eyeshadows and palettes are not something I ever really think about using, so if I touch the black or not, it doesn't really bother me because I got the palette knowing I probably wouldn't. Let me see what colors I haven't talked about. This I did wear in one of the looks you saw on my lower lash line, and I liked it a lot as that, and I think that's the only way I wore it. It's just, it's a very cool brownish gray that's pretty dark, so it's just not a color I reach for. I've heard people say that if they were fair complected, they use this as a contour, which I did try that one day and it worked out fine. I'm just not a big contour person. And then this, one of my subscribers actually mentioned that she uses this to set her under eye concealer. I'm pretty sure this is the color she was talking about, which would be really good too, especially if you don't want that shade for your brow bone highlight. That would be a really nice way to work through it. And then she mentioned she used one of the shades in her eyebrows, so maybe that shade, I don't know. I know I could get away with using that in my eyebrows, and maybe even that shade. Maybe that shade instead. I don't know. I haven't tried that. So it has a lot of colors that are really useful. They're very workhorses, so to speak, and what's the word? Like, they serve multi-functions. You know, it's one of those, like, it's on the tip of my tongue. And then a lot of people like blacks on their eyeliner to set their eyeliner, to smudge out their eyeliner, or just instead of eyeliner. So overall, everything in this palette is a really great, useful color. I'll get a close-up in case you aren't familiar with it. The only downside about it is, and I don't want this to come across as rude because that's not what I mean, because I'm describing myself as well. Unless you think you're really good at eyeshadow and you're really good at blending out, then I wouldn't suggest this, because a lot of days it was kind of hard for me. And I'm not a pro by any means, that's not what I'm saying. But a lot of days it was kind of hard for me to blend out some of the colors, especially when you start getting into the darker colors, because they are so pigmented that if you put them on a brush and where you place your brush on your eye, that's where it's going to stay. And it takes a lot to really blend it out and blend it away. This is not a beginner palette by any means. I have so many other eyeshadows that are just so much easier to work with. That's not to say I don't like this, because it's super pigmented and very vibrant, and it makes a really pretty eye. And so many days I would wear this and my green eyes would pop, whether I was wearing the warm area, the neutral area, or experimenting with some of the cools. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the matte textures. I don't know. But it would really make my green eyes pop. So it's a very lovely palette and it's very flattering. However, it's not for the faint of heart. If you feel like you're not super good at blending out eyeshadows, then you may want to stay away from it. The Too Faced Natural Matte Palette that I used a few months back is so much more forgiving in the terms of mattes than this. I don't really want to say pick one over the other. Do you probably need both of them? Probably not. Am I happy I have them both? Yes. But that one is a lot more forgiving. And especially if you're just getting into matte eyeshadows, it has a lot less to choose from. So it's a little more easy to work with. It's not quite so much, but then this is so easy to work with because you have it separated into the quadrants, and it also comes with a little pamphlet and it gives you some ideas. So that is just my 2 cents. I hope it was pretty helpful. I'm going to continue keeping this palette and I'll continue using it, but it is definitely, you need to make sure that you are ready to blend and work with the eyeshadows. And one last thing is they are they're very powdery. When you get some on your brush, tap off your brush before you go straight onto your eyelids, or you would have a lot of fallout. But I don't dislike them. That doesn't make me dislike it by any means. So I hope that that was a good, thorough review. And you may be somebody that's really great at blending and use this palette, and you may not even understand what I'm talking about. But since I'm not the best at blending, it was definitely more of a challenge for me. So, but overall, I was happy with it. And I did stray and use a quad once when I did some traveling, and then my little single Burberry shadow when I was away for the weekend. I was out of town for 2 weekends during the month, and I didn't really feel like taking that whole palette. So, okay. And then next up for the month of November, this has been a palette that I've been so excited to pull out. I've been waiting until it got cool and it felt like it went with the season. And that's the Naked 2. This palette is obviously a little more on the cool tone end, but I really have always enjoyed it. I did not pick it up when it first came out because I thought, cool, it's not my kind of thing. I mean, you know how when they first came out back then, they sold out and then they restocked? I did pick it up right then on the restock. I didn't wait that long. But these shades, they're just so many pretty taupey, gorgeous colors. And I don't know, but lately, and it could have been using some of the cool colors in that. I don't know. But maybe with the cooler weather, the cooler colors are just kind of a little tempting. Like Decay, I absolutely love this color any time of the year. I always like it. Tease is really pretty. You still have Half Baked, so I still have my really warm tone brown. And then these are just really pretty. What's that one? Suspect. So I'm excited. So if you have any eyeshadow combinations that you really like to wear with this, let me know. I think judging by my pans, I think one of my favorite ways was always Suspect and Decay together. And then Busted's just not a shade I'm probably going to reach for very much, nor will I reach for Blackout because those just aren't my kind of colors. And then Foxy isn't my favorite highlight, so I may do under eye setting to kind of just utilize that a little. I don't know. So anyways, I'm really excited to have it back. Not have it back, but pull it out again because it is a really pretty palette, and I think it will be really good for the cooler tone, cooler time of the year. I almost saved it for December, but I really was just itching to pull it out. So I don't know what I'm going to do for December, and I don't know what I'm going to do for the next year. A lot of y'all have given me some really good ideas. If you do not know, I'm sure you do know, I am pregnant and I'm due at the end of January. So I'm planning on doing something for January. It may be like an abbreviated, like maybe a quad or two, and plan on doing my wrap-up video mid-January because I don't want to get too far and me not be able to do it. It's just, I don't know, it's hard to commit to that because what if something happens? And then I'm going to pretty much go ahead and say February I won't be doing one. I don't know how my video schedule will go right after I have the baby. That will be something I just have to see. And then hopefully March I'll get back on track and I'll start doing something. One of you had suggested I do some of my eyeshadow singles by brand, and I thought that was a really good idea. I could do, say, maybe in March Clinique and in April MAC. I don't know. We'll just have to see. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know, because I think this is my last big palette, so I don't even know what I'm going to do for December, because I had started incorporating a few, like 2 smaller palettes together in some previous months. So that is all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have started doing this, let me know. I know there's a few of you that have jumped on the bandwagon with doing it, so I'll try to remember to link their channels below so you can go check those out if you want to. And I think that is all. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.